There is few things more enjoyable than equipment failure in the home shop. This was the cheapest angle grinder on eBay and it is vibrating really badly. So to start, we've got that plate. Let's see what's going on. Oh, I remember right, it's got a little dot on it, which makes it difficult to get off. Yeah, these have a little dot on them, you can see that. So it sits in a recess. And I suppose you're supposed to line it up with that to pull it out, but I didn't, I just ripped it out. That was tight. Two were tight, two were loose. I haven't demagnetised the screwdriver because of this. Alright, it ain't going to do it. Well, it's not a way out. As you get your screw out, nice and easy. So what's the point in demagnetising it? Hey up, be careful. It's going to come off now. Here we go, let's have a look. So, the gear is separate, it has a circlip on it. Inside there is no ball bearing, it is a plain bearing. Awesome. So I was hoping just to be able to replace the bearings, but this is not going to happen. Just a plain bearing in there. Well, I brought it back at the appropriate time. The solar's just started going again. Anyhow, usually I degrease, and I've had that for years. You can see the top of the can's rusted. It's years and years and years. So this oil can, I haven't used it for a long time, as you can see, but this is how I degrease. Now, I didn't clean it up last time. I usually clean it up with a rag. Anyway, I've just tipped a little bit of degreaser in there, which you can just see. It filled it to around about there, and I've been swirling it around, and that is now saturated with grease, and most of the grease has disappeared from inside there. This container was filthy all the way around. It was really bad. There's a big bit here that I don't really like. But this piece of container here that I was using is nice and clean now, and it wasn't. So we'll not use that next. We'll use this bit next. So just tip a little bit in there. Not too much. So just up to about here. Nice clean degreaser. Trying to flick away from yourself and towards the container, so all the little spitty bits go into the container. And I can see around here I'm not getting a lot, if any, down there, so it's still got dirt in it. So we'll just swirl this around inside here and try and loosen more of this up. And actually, we won't do it with the brush because I don't want to wreck my brush so quickly. Do it with the rag. So yeah, sure enough, I thought the container was cracked then, but no, it is just the previous dirt and all the engine degreaser, whatever was inside it, is evaporated. I'm just breaking it up now. It's just coming out in pieces and chunks. The majority of the crud is coming out of that now, and this rag is knackered. Just going to wet the rest of the surfaces up with this rag, because I'm going to be doing an oil change with this, like I said, and it was not the nicest of containers to do oil changing, especially if you want to diagnose anything that's going inside your engine. The other thing about engine degreaser, it is water soluble. So what do you do with that? Well, in the UK we just dump that in the bin. This is a house, this is not industrial. I don't do a lot of it. Like I said, I've had that geyser for dozens of years. And it's still not empty. And we'll start with another rag. And slowly but surely the what looked knackered container starts looking like a container that you can use again. Wow. It even says it on the tin. Water rinsable parts degreaser. Right. Next bit. I'll get set up for it. So you can hear in the background the kettle boiling. I've had about a capful, nothing too much. And you saw all the grease that's in there. I'm not sure if the temperature thing works on this kettle. This is me workshop kettle, which came from the kitchen because it leaked. I swear it works before I put it in here. It's still boiling. Then you've got to remember as well with degreaser, it's not a race. You let it soak in for a little bit. If you warm the pot before you apply it as well, it works a lot better. Oh, there you go, the kettle has decided it's enough. I think the kettle's telepathic, it knew, but I'm just about ready to use it. So I'm not too really bothered about inside here because this is where the electric motor goes, and well, it was a bit dusty, and it'll get a bit dusty again. And I will show you the assembly, or the way I took it to pieces in a second. So I'm reasonably happy with that kind of cleanliness in there now. Not terribly happy, but happy enough that that's enough cleaning. And this is how you get rid of degrease off your parts after you've degreased them. There's no mystery to it. And boiling water works best. And is also very dangerous and hot. There you go. Yep, that is quite hot now. Don't just tip that down the drain, by the way. Ow. And you can see the oil floating on top, and the degreaser, or the grease is actually floating on top, and the degreaser itself is absorbed into the water. It's hygroscopic. It does actually turn white, the water does. Just put it straight into it. There we go. One clean, very hot part. Okay, we've got all the parts lined up. So obviously that came out of there, and that's just going to be a simple bearing. This slips onto it, I can see straight away, and then the shaft will push out that way, and there's a bearing inside there, and I shall more than likely replace it. This was the difficult thing. As you can see, that bearing is held in that way with two retaining screws. So the only way to assemble this shaft would be to put that bearing in like that and then press that through there, because there's no way of putting these retaining screws on afterwards, and that is not ideal, especially how tight that is. If that was just a slip fit, and then we'd be happy, but it's not. It's a light press fit. It took some hammering to get it off. It nearly slip fits, but it doesn't quite. And that bearing is knackered. You hear it? It's horrible. This bearing, what do you reckon, eh? So this is quite funny. Here is the bearing inside there, and you can see the shaft moving, but the bearing not. Then we put some pressure on it. Yeah, that's been because it's not properly supported back here. Oh, it's really tightened up now. It's, oh, that bearing feels really snug. It didn't before. Because it hasn't been properly supported back here. There's obviously been a lot of side loading on it. And that's where all the vibrations are coming from, I believe. Well, there's a little shaft. The little shaft. Got a bit of goulding on there, is it? I'll have to measure it. Yeah, there's a bit of goulding on there. Obviously no grease in that bearing. And again, Woodruff key. Not the best of machines. Anyway, like I was saying, this bit here is pressed into that bit there. Oh, doesn't that sound nice? And then this rubber cup goes on the back. Like that, and then that goes through the whole unit, and it feels like it doesn't come out, but literally I took the brush units out from the side and I levered and it popped. This was in quite tight, it just pops out, and then the whole thing comes out like that. Ooh, and then you kick the camera, so that's off there like that. And you have to remember to, when you're putting this through here, get the bearing in the right orientation, press it in so far, drop the Woodruff key in, and figure out whether the Woodruff key I don't know. Are you going to get the Woodruff key in and that bearing as well at the same time? I don't know. Sorry, the gear as well at the same time. But I'm sure if the bearings are cheap enough, I will find out how to do it. And just on a footnote, I did forget, this was the other bit I forgot to do. I'll show you how much play is in this. Now I'm sure you can see from the angle of it how much play is in it, but look at this. Oh dear, it's like a spoon in a pudding bowl. Look. This is like a spoon in a pudding bowl. Unbelievable. That is beyond. I'm not sure. I think that had that amount of play to start with. I'm pretty certain that had that amount of play to start with. So I had both the bearings. This is the same bearing that goes into the bandsaw guide bearings, and that sits in the front there. It's a 6000 ZZ or 6000Z, whatever it is. 6000Z. This one here, which you can see the damage on if we look close, that's what it came out like. I haven't caused any of that damage, so that went in damaged like that. That one is a 608, I think. Yeah, 608Z. And I didn't have the 608Z, but I've got a 608 RS in there, rubber sealed. So anyway, the order of operations is you put this shaft through far enough, and it just leaves you enough space with the Woodruff key there. Which I was hoping for something like that. And then you just slip the Woodruff key in. Somehow. I'm not getting another Woodruff key for it. I can't see where the Woodruff key lines up. Here it comes, I think it's just there. I think it's just there somewhere. Very hard to see. I'm just going to take it outside. What I'm trying to do is, let's see if we can the camera. I can't see it in the camera either. Just trying to turn the gear around until the Woodruff key, the keyway slot in the gear, lines up to the Woodruff key. So it is in. Got over the Woodruff key now. Lovely jubbly. So I've got those in stock. All I've got to do is make a bronze or a brass bearing for the back. I'm going to fill this with lithium. I'll attempt to anyway. Oh, it's definitely going in there. It's going somewhere, that is for sure. It's disappearing. There's only very small holes in this, but I'm pretty certain I'm getting some in that. I don't want to put too much in it because it will get over the brushes. If I fill this cap up slightly, yeah, and try to get too much coming out the other side. I'm not sure if I can get some out the other side yet. Maybe. Then that will be just the right amount of grease, I hope. Weapon of choice for making this bush is the mini lathe. The material of choice, well, brass. I have bronze, phosphorus bronze, but it's too big to waste. And I've got a little chunk of brass I'll just get this out of. Good, good, good. Here we go. Sweet as. We've got a hole in that now. Here we go. Pushed the speed up, I didn't quite like it. You probably heard the pressure build up. And, oh, good job I didn't take any more because it's got 12.13, which is just about perfect. I think I'll just take another skim at the same setting. And that should be perfect. Here we go. Right, what I've got there is, I've got the drill most of the way in. So I'm going to use that as my zero. Set my tailstock back to zero there. There, exactly zero. Lock it up, I'll bring back the carriage until it touches the tailstock properly. There, and then I'm going to put the stop, my carriage stop, against that, and I'll pull that back off there. That's just so I can monitor whether the tailstock's moving, because it tends to shift on these little lathes quite a lot. There's not enough torque to hold it there. So I'm going to push that in now, 8mm. That's exactly 8mm in there, and it didn't move. I just want to make sure it didn't move, but it didn't move. It looks sharp, it feels sharp. That would not cut steel at all. Cuts brass beautifully. I'm going to put that in the bin and put a brass drill on it, because that really did do well. Now, That's 6.5mm or thereabouts, and approximately on centre. And I want it 8mm or thereabouts, and exactly on centre. So here's the setup. I've got a 5mm tungsten high-speed steel boring bar. It's set up approximately on centre. I've got the wing, which you can see, where's my finger? Here's my finger here. So this is the chip shield attached to the apron of the lathe, and I weld a wing on, which now I can put a DTI gauge on, which follows the lathe, and at any point you want to put a DTI gauge on, it goes straight on. It just makes sense to me. So turn it on, and as soon as you turn it on, it comes to 0. I'm going to butt the high speed steel up, and now it is touching the face of that brass that's already been phased parallel, and it is within the realm of material that is going to be cut out. So I will try to re-zero it, re-zero the dial test indicator, and now I'm going to travel in 8mm. Hopefully I won't crash the bottom. So that is 8.2mm, 8.02mm in fact. And I want a bit of clearance. So after I've finished doing this boring operation, I'm going to put another, this is a 1 pitch thread, 1 turn on that. That'll be 1mm further in. No, sorry, it's half-mil thread, half-mil pitch thread on me. Let me get it out of the way. I'm set now. So this is me travel stop. That has a 0.5mm thread pitch on it. So if I do 1 full revolution of that, that'll be 1/2mm extra. Just a bit of clearance for the grease to get in there and reside at the bottom. I might go a bit deeper than that. Might do a full turn and give it a millimetre. But I'm not going all the way through it like the original bush, because there's no real point in doing that, as far as I can see. Plus it will give it a backing which might help it. Anyway, that's 8mm deep now. And to get a measurement on that, I have nothing great to do that with. I could turn a pin. That was a 6.5mm drill I just went straight in with, and it's drilled it to 6.65mm, which seems reasonable. Yeah, that should be nice. Just a little bit of clearance there. Not like a spear in a pudding bowl anymore. Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. Here we go. Part off me little bush and go and get it fitted. I'm going to do a position measurement on this at 10.44. Okay. Where's my DTI? There should be. Have to reposition it. Onto the gold wing. Into position. I want 10.44mm. The reason I want that is because I measured it at 8mm But anyway, 10.44, oh no, I'm going to move, aren't I? 10.44 millimetres. That's 11, I don't want that amount. 10.55, 10.45, 10.44. That where it needs to be. Yep, let's lock it up. There we go, bit of pressure, and I can go through it like that. Okay. Oh, parting. Hopefully this goes well. There is the internals of the grinder. I'm wiping my hands on an isopropyl alcohol wet rag, which I've just used to wipe that out. Right, I have 648 and 638 Loctite bearing fit retaining compound, and they're both for piss slack fits. One's for a slightly piss slack fit, and the other one's for a seriously piss slack fit. This one is a seriously piss slack fit. It might not like it too much because it's really slack. When I say it's really slack, I mean it's really slack. That last cut really did it. That's like a spoon in a pudding bowl. I don't think the retaining compound is going to take up that much slack. Well, mainly because I'm impatient. I've done that. You can see it just about now. That's a brass shim. 0.25 millimeters. That is the brass bush, and that should be a really tight fit now, like properly tight. It is. Thumbs up. And it's feeling quite good, to be fair. That is flush, I think. No, it's a bit further. Yeah, it's feeling good enough, that is. Definitely good enough. That took some power. One flush? I think so, yeah. Right, she is flush. Does the motor still fit? There's no pressure on that at all. And the play's all gone. Sweet as. So I didn't need that. Good. Now I don't know about you, but I can tell what kind of grease that is just by looking at the packet. I'll put 2 slits in it with my side cutters just so I can rip the edge off nice and easily. So this should be horrible black graphite grease, and there's some going into that bearing, and there's a load going onto that gear, and I'm going to put some onto this gear and in behind the gear, because there was some in behind the gear. Doesn't need any behind the gear, but there was some in behind the gear. And fill the orifice up a little bit. Not too much, you don't want it squirting out everywhere, but you need some where it heats up to lubricate it around. And since there's only a little bit left in the packet, I might as well just stick the whole rest of the packet in, to be fair, because there isn't a lot left in it. So the rest is going in. That's too much, by the way, way too much. Like properly, like OTT. That's a grease. Oh, I had to kick the door. Oh yeah. Maybe it'll sound like an angle grinder now instead of a self-destructing grinder. We'll find out in a second. Especially now because I'm going to wait for the Loctite to dry. Let's see if I did it with the tolerances on that bearing. I don't think I did. Oh. Get excited. I thought I was going to have to, by the way, this is the weekend as well, so getting bearings at the weekend is quite difficult. Come on, screws. Screw in there. Get in there. Come on. Yeah. Tight. 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 Power to the people. We get one extremely safe extension cord. It isn't cracked or anything, you know. Plug it in. Put some safety goggles on. And listen to the beastie. Was it worth the effort? Effort, in fact. I think so. Right, unplug it, clean the shield up a little bit, and get on with the grinding job which I was doing. Well, I've got a spare angle grinder, but when you're down to one you feel naked, don't you? Oh, I'm back up to 2 again. I think this is better than it was when it was new now, to be fair. If I put that on there like that, it will, no, if I put that on there like, where is it? Like that. Something like that. And twist it around. Where do I want it? I want it about square, don't I? Out there like I normally have it. Yeah, that'll be good enough. Can always adjust it at any time you feel like. Let's get this felt unbalanced when it was on. So let's see if it vibrates my hand to pieces now. This literally was a vibration machine before. Does the lock still work? Yes, it does. Put it back in again. See how much vibrations we get now. Well, I can hold it without it completely and utterly shaking my hand to pieces now in one hand. A far superior tool, all in all. That's better than it was when it was brand new, because when it was brand new it still vibrated. The actual proof of the pudding will be when I put this on. In fact, I might put this on now and see how because when I put this on, dearie me did it vibrate. I could only hold this with gloves on for a matter of minutes before having time for rest. Like that, lock in, undo. I can't remember if I had that on or not. I can't remember, leave that on. I don't know. Should really have the gloves on doing this. Does it grab it or does it not grab it? Oh, it's gone tight. Right, let's see if that will go on with that vibrating. A far superior tool. Far superior. That is better than it has ever been. It has never been that good. I wouldn't say it's as good as the old Sealy which I had, which I bought like 25 years ago, which lasted 20 years. But it is a far superior tool now.